Hello and welcome. The Eastern National Omnibus Company was a bus company that operated primarily in Essex, which is situated in the eastern coast of the United Kingdom. It operated in places such as Brentwood, Braintree, Basildon, Chelmsford, Clacton, Colchester and Southend. Eastern National commenced operation in 1930 following the investment by the London Midland and Scottish Railway and the London North Eastern Railway in the National Omnibus and Transport Company Limited. The roots of this company can be traced back to the formation in 1909 of the National Steam Car Company Limited. It adopted its later title in 1920. National operated in the Chelmsford area, taking over the Great Eastern Railway's bus services in 1913. The earliest of these had started in 1905. In 1919, National came to an agreement with the London General Omnibus Company, whereby it gave up its operation in London, which was started in 1909. In exchange, it took over the London General Omnibus Company's Bedford operation. National also received authority to develop services to the north and east of London on the London General Omnibus Company's behalf. In 1931, Thomas Tilling acquired an interest in National, by then just a holding company, and therefore in Eastern National. This was done independently of Tilling British Automobile Traction. When London General Country Services Limited was formed in 1932, it took over national services around Watford. The following year, the London Passenger Transport Board took over some of the services in the Grays area, although Eastern National in turn acquired some of the London passenger transport routes which were outside the board's designated area. Also during 1933, a number of services around the Stony Stratford area were transferred to United Counties. In January 1949, Eastern National entered into a coordination scheme with Luton Corporation. But by May 1952, the entire Midland area of the company, along with 245 buses and the Luton Agreement, was transferred over to United Counties. Also in 1952, Eastern National assumed control of Westcliff-on-Sea Motor Services Limited, which was a Tilling subsidiary, but had no railway involvement. It had been part of Tilling since 1936. And had started life in 1914 as the Westcliff-on-Sea Motor Charabanc Company Limited, adopting its later title in 1922. In January 1955, Eastern National and Southend Transport have provided coordinated services in the Southend area. In 1963, Eastern National purchased Moore Brothers Limited of Kelvedon, which brought 39 vehicles into the company. Eastern National was well known for running open-top bus services in both Clacton and Southend-on-Sea. Another thing the company was well known for was for its express coach services. The most famous ones, of course, which was the X1 and the X10, which ran from London to Southend-on-Sea, and the later 400 service, which also ran from London King's Cross through to Southend, and utilised double-decker coach-seated Bristol low-deckers like this one. In fact, some of the last Bristol low-deckers built and registered for the road were used for this service. Now, those of you who are on the buses fans will have noted that it was Eastern National buses that were used in the TV series and in the films. The films tending to use the ex-Eastern National Bristol KSWs, which were painted red, and the series using Bristol FLF type low-deckers. The low-deckers tended to be the later batch, which were all semi-automatic, as they were easier for Reg Varney, who played Stan Butler, the bus driver in the series, to drive the bus. Eastern National's livery was Tilling Green, but upon the formation of the National Bus Company, it selected National Bus Company Leaf Green. It had some of the first Series 1 Bristol VRs delivered in 1969. Eastern National was involved in the Great National Bus Company and Scottish Bus Group Bristol Low-Decker and Bristol VR swapover, where it received the entire batch of 15 former Midland Scottish Bristol VRs, These were initially kept in the Eastern Scottish Blue livery and used on the 400 service between Southend and King's Cross. In February 1970, the Tillings transport coach fleet was acquired by Eastern National, only to be returned to Tillings the following January. The two operators had worked together for much of the previous decade, though. During the 1970s, the standard national bus company Leyland National and Bristol VR dominated the fleet. By the mid-1980s, though, it was pretty much the end of the line for the nationalised National Bus Company, and the company was sold to a management buyout. The buyout was led by the managing director Geoffrey Clarkson and the financial director Harold Taylor. At the time of privatisation, Eastern National was running 526 buses and coaches, including 58 minibuses, and employed 1,470 staff at its Chelmsford headquarters and at 15 garages across the network. In the mid-1980s, Eastern National had some success tendering for bus routes in London. It operated these under the name of Eastern National City Bus from a depot at Ponders End, and operated routes such as the W9, the W13 and the W14, which were around the Leytonstone area. In 1990, Eastern National was acquired by the Badgerline Group, and the garages in South Essex were hived off to form a new company, which became Thamesway. The North Essex part of the company continued to operate, though, under the Eastern National name, but despite all this, the companies remained under the same common ownership and management structure. Interestingly, at the time of the sale to Badgerline, Eastern National was running 470 buses and coaches and was employing 1,700 staff. Now, as we all know, in 1995, Badgerline Group merged with Grampian Regional Transport Limited, and from 1998 this company became better known as First Group. During its time under First Bus, the company operated some of these very American Bluebird school buses, bringing a little bit of the good old US of A to Essex. First Bus combined both Thamesway and the old Eastern National Company and renamed them both First Essex. And that brings us bang up to date. I hope you enjoyed this episode of A to Z of National Bus Company Subsidiaries. If you did, please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Also, don't forget to take a look at the other videos on my channel and check out some of the older other videos in this series. Again, thank you ever so much for watching and taking the time to support the channel. Bye for now.